All right, the recording's begun, and our guest tonight is Liza Halvorsen. She's taught workshops, lectured, and shown work internationally. Liza is an artist working in clay. She's a retired professor of art and a member of the Northwest Designer Craftsmen, also an expert with her medium. So please let's welcome Liza and let her tell her story.
All right. Thank you, Ken. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm also going to introduce that my husband, Larry Halvorsen, is is being our technical support since he's been through this before.
Yay, Larry.
And we share a studio. So when he demonstrated, he was on the north side, and now I'm on the west side. Oh, east side and west side. That's it. East side story, west side story. So demo first.
You're going to start. I'm doing slides.
Okay, I'm going to start with my slides first and then get to the demos because
Right.
they are related.
We're going to go ahead and let Larry share his screen then.
Well, this is where it began.
Next step.
I'm an import to the Northwest. And Larry's was in the center of the Northwest from the beginning. And as a kid, I entertained myself with drawing and Play-Doh and any kind of creative thing I
Shall we
could
go
do.
on to the next slide?
So, next slide. So both of our families were descendants of pioneers, migrated to the West Coast, western region of the US, similar time. And both of our fathers served in World War II and survived, fortunately, but it was a tough beginning there for a while. My father wanted to be an airline pilot after his flying in the war, but he had an opportunity to do some technical work in Vancouver, BC. So that's where I landed. But fortunately, he still loved flying and he flew us, our family, to the East Coast. We got to see the World's Fair, and that aerial perspective was a lifelong influence on me. So I find that a lot of my concepts come from imagining, floating, looking down on landscapes. And then decided to go to the U. I took a number of painting and sculpture classes, and then I landed on ceramics with Howard Kotler, Patty Warashina, and Bob Sperry. And Howard Kotler offered a history of ceramics and talked about this fellow, Bernard Palissy, who was a genius and kind of a bit of a crazy man, who unfortunately ended up dying in the Bastille because he was a Huguenot, non-Catholic, and it was a very bad time for his beliefs. After my time at UW, both of our time at UW, we graduated the same year. Larry was in fisheries and I was in ceramics, but he visited my classes and I visited his whenever possible, and we had the best parties. And we decided we would try taking his fisheries studies a little further while working in the Peace Corps. And this is this amazing mountain range with sugarcane in bloom in El Salvador, Central America. And there's Larry with another friend in the fisheries program, harvesting tilapia. And Larry had a background in scuba diving, and I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to learn too. So there we are, testing the waters. We ended up in a town known for its ceramics because of the natural clay beds and generations of potters, excellent potters, talented and dedicated, who sold work internationally, but they weren't getting rich. And we met this wonderful woman and all her granddaughters, and she supported the family in a major way with her work, making these wonderful coil pots in her kitchen and then firing out in the yard. And with the roof tiles, you can see if you look at the tiles, you'll see the fingerprints. They're just pressed on a form, standing at and dragging the fingers down. There's Larry working with an attempt at a possible kiln that might improve their firing techniques. And I was teaching in the National Art School in San Salvador for a while. We had a chance to go to Guatemala, and the screenshot shows a 360-degree view of a cylinder painted with slip, telling, it's like a book, telling the history of this region and these belief systems. We had an opportunity to work with or travel with an archaeologist over to Honduras, and this staircase is called the hieroglyphic staircase, and he was studying it and I believe published some work and got his PhD. More wonderful pots, amazing techniques, and this is how they transported their ware originally, but you still saw men carrying these incredible loads and women with them on their heads with their arms up as well. Then back in Seattle, and Bumbershoot 76, Claire Colquitt, very well-known artist, created this Space Needle ship crash and welcomed me to attack him. He seemed to like it. Okay. So I started making, I think we missed something there, but Larry transferred from working in fisheries to Lopez Island. Did we miss the shot of Lopez? Okay, well, I had an opportunity to raku all I wanted without bothering the neighbors because everybody burned wood stoves. So these are all raku fired. Okay. And then I had an opportunity or applied for a commission for a police precinct, and their intention was to make the police precinct friendlier and more welcoming, to be more like a community center. And so with that in mind, I wanted to study some more architectural ceramics, and we had a chance to go to Italy and Spain. Oh, there it is. Okay. So in the trees, or just at the base of the trees, you'll see a dugout canoe with it's kind of rotted through. And that theme has carried through along with the fishing poles, all these things, which we found on this kind of chucked in the woods around our little house. And I got a commission to do elementary school bench and mural on the wall. And the whole idea was to kind of educate in a fun way. And it seemed to be fairly popular. I think it did too, but then after doing all these things, I started realizing that I really wanted to go to graduate school and take my work a little further and have the opportunity to teach college classes. So Fashion Institute of Technology was where that totem was. I studied, my main goal there was to work with Ron Nagle, whom I still admire. He's still doing incredible work that people are writing books about. And this was my graduate thesis show, and not one piece is ceramic. I tried all sorts of other media, fiberglass, new materials, and anyway, that was my show there. And Ron, we were hamming it up. He was a performer as well, so wanting to get out of jail at Mills. Then, while still in California, and I was starting to teach college classes, our first child was born.
Which I don't think anybody can see.
Yeah, yeah. Is that all cut off there?
Yeah, and I don't know how to fix it. So.
Oh, okay. And then we had a surprise a little later, number 2, Liam, who is still a prolific painter, modeler of things, and he does carpentry. Okay. Just a variety of shows I was in. And I did some public works. Broadview Thompson School that went into the classroom, the kids did tile self-portrait, and then that was installed at the front gate of the school. And then there's a park where we had children involved in the design. Ballard Gallery, our neighbor friends, show that we had together, 6311. Some forms that I pinched in, and the nuts were kind of a reflection back at watching the wonderful women of El Salvador making their coil pots. I started teaching at Seattle Pacific University, and Larry Metcalf was the president of Northwest Designer Craftsman, and he invited me to have a show there, and I also did some teaching there, and so did Larry. More work. So these forms are kind of a reflection of that dugout canoe that I showed earlier on. And we did try to take a kayak out in the water around the San Juan Islands and found it to be much more challenging than our boat was up to and our skills. A show that I curated at Edmonds Community College when I was teaching there. And this is it. Ended up finishing my teaching at North Seattle Community College. And I was very pleased that they had a special event there when the NCCA North NCCA National Ceramics Exhibition, I think is what it is, a conference anyway, came to town, and we got to be featured in that. And there's some work that got noticed, some wonderful assistants that I wouldn't have been able to do all the work required without their help. Here's some of Larry's installation work. And more of mine. And a little aside, we inherited, or Larry inherited, woods that his father purchased back in the dark ages. And it's a wonderful place to visit. And it inspired lots of crazy ideas. And this is our daughter and son graduated 2012, and Lauren, a singer, ended up being featured at the football field. No, and it's not Regents anymore.
Lumen Field. Now Lumen Field.
Into Lumen Field, that's right. And those are some cups that Liam was making, and I don't have mine here. Oh, I have another cup. So these totems popped out of my head, but they were fed by our trip to El Salvador, my passion for art, world art. More projects. And Larry and Lauren at Bellevue Fair. She's a very good salesperson. Just more sales, and I wanted to mention that Northwest Designer Craftsman, the crafts group that Ken is in with us, has been doing a video series, and I helped coordinate that some. And I ended up being selected to be in a video. And sorry. And because of COVID, they weren't able to have an open house, but they are now has a new date. It's Sunday, June 26th at Broadway Performance Hall. And it is on YouTube as well. So I hope that you check it out.
Go back to.
Okay.
So I believe Liza has some demonstrations for us, but if anyone has any questions that may have been generated from her slides, feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask away.
I'd love to know more about the bowls that you made with the faces. That's been a dream of mine, to do those kind of emerging faces, and they're beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, in Hollywood, my grandfather and his cousin had a warehouse and moving van, and they would end up with things that people didn't, pay the rent on.
Mm-hmm.
We each one of us ended up with a really beautiful, authentic piece. And I have, I thought about bringing it out here, but I have a head. And so it was a lot of it was studying these things from early childhood, and also going to Los Angeles museums. And then my life up in Vancouver, BC, I was quite smitten with totems and
The faces that you put on, did you like make the bowl and then attach a face to it, or did you push from the inside out?
it was a push pull and some adding on, but yeah, I don't have one here. No.
Thank you.
Oh, you're gonna go get it? Okay, well, Larry might get it, and then we can tip one down.
Okay.
Show you the push pull. So what I did bring is I've got some vessels, what I call vessels, the dugouts, and Northwest Designer Craftsman was invited to have a shoe show at Clark and Clark Gallery in Mercer Island. It's just a tiny little gallery, but they have incredible antiques from around the world. And so I thought quirky was just about right. And so I had this idea of making my foot and with natural materials as a shoe. And so I was going to put some underglaze on some of these things and show some of the molds I made. Let me come up a little. Yeah, that's not going to work. So I was going to put a little color on there and show you some of the textures that. This is a leaf pattern that I got from, oh, there you go, from the zoo. All my leaves on my property didn't have any texture, so that's what I used here. And then I collected shells walking on beaches, etc.
So this is.
There it is. It's a big one. But you can see as I tip it.
Full of spiders.
Oh, full of spiders. You can see that I pushed out the nose, pushed out the eyes, added, and so I pierced from behind to make sure that that didn't blow out. And this was sort of a self-portrait here. And I kind of adzed it. And that's just terracotta. And it's been sitting around in our garden for years. So that's that. And let's see, I'm gonna show the bolt mold. And because I wanted to get some things ready in advance, we have a slab roller here. And I press them into the mold, but in order to keep this moist, I wrapped it. And then I thought I'd show some texture. I don't know if you can see that or not. Is that
Yeah, it's on the.
okay?
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh. Bernard Pellison. So,
No, you need to be over there.
okay. Oh, yeah. So one of the slides that didn't show up was the Bernard Palissy slide.
It was there.
Oh, was there? Okay. And that was informed how I should dress the shoe. It turns out that he was in the time of the Louis when Huguenots were punished, and in his case, he ended up dying in the Bastille, but he became quite famous with his incredible work. He was in Western France where there's a, what do you call it? Brackish inlet. Estuary, and with shells and leaves and everything. And so that inspired my choice of materials here. And it turns out that I have Huguenot heritage. So maybe that's why it appealed to me so much. I don't know why, but it definitely is a reoccurring thing for me. So should I add texture? Yeah, I wish I'd known about doing it here, but have to be here or here.
Well, it'd be easier for you to see it.
Liza, can you tell us a little bit about how it was working with Ron Nagle?
Oh.
I've never met the man, but he's got quite a reputation.
Yeah, he does. We got along really, really well. He could be intimidating. He is a musician, songwriter, but he's very, very serious about his artwork. And he actually, I think we missed the slide, but he actually let me help him on a few things. And he didn't have a studio at home, but he did a lot of his work at Mills College, so I had a chance to see him work. There were other wonderful artists and instructors there. And his show in New York was incredible to see, and I guess he had a big write-up for a recent show in LA as well. And we did talk on the phone once. At some point there was some communication, but he said, I want my students to ride out of here, close the door and just go away. And that's just sort of his perspective in life, but he actually enjoys people. So maybe I'll add a little add-on here. Would it be better if it's raised, or is this good? This just seems awkward to me. What? Keep talking. Keep talking. It's too quiet. Oh, is it bungee time? Slavery? Not yet.
So is all of your work done with slab and plaster molds? Do you do any casting?
I have done some casting, probably more press mold. Yeah, I definitely have done some casting. It's kind of messy, and these were slip cast here.
Yeah.
And I had I had this all ready to go, I thought. So I poured so I could show opening a mold, but I don't think it's quite ready. And it just, I had a heck of a time. It was very hard. I fractured my ankle, and so I had a boot on my right foot, and I was trying to make a mold. And so this is a very messy mold, and I don't know if I can open it yet. Put it back on the heater. Let's see. So the star of the show just arrived.
Oh, boy. There he is, making
Oh,
the present.
Hey, Bunch. This is
Bungee.
your second home here.
Yeah, release.
do your other canoes have texture like that?
Some of them do, some don't. Well, these are, there's, if we could get closer, these have light texture here and cut through there.
The swishiness, is that like in the underglaze, or is that part of the texture?
This is underglaze, and this is painted, and it's pretty smooth here.
Okay.
And this is another well, you see the pattern there. I keep redoing this pattern, but make various different approaches to it. I'm gonna just point this out here. So when we were on Lopez, I was able to make molds of actual fish. And one of them is featured in this show, so you can find it on at YouTube. The Northwest designer craftsman Lloyd Herman, who was the director of the
Renwick.
Renwick Gallery in DC. And that toured internationally a few times. So when I lived on Lopez, I worked selling bakery goods that were in a
Oh.
wonderful bakery, coffee house bakery. And I had a nice customer that came forward and she said, we just got back from Indonesia and I saw your fish there.
Oh, your fish gets around.
I was fishing around, my fish get around. Yeah, so it's the same piece that is in this catalog. In fact, I have the catalog here. Smart. There it is. This is a lot of years ago. But
There
these
they
were,
are.
it was a porcelain show and these were porcelain. I didn't like working with porcelain that much, so I didn't continue. But who knew? Anyway, that's
So
Yeah.
your clay of choice is terracotta.
well, I also use white clay too. This is low fire white,
Mhm.
and that's how I hang them.
Yeah.
Larry's help. And I would add more color layering, perhaps use underglaze pencil and do some of the line work and pastel. And sometimes I seal them. Oops. I'm trying to find it. I thought I had it set out. In archival wax. And so it just kind of melts in, but it gives it a protective finish without changing the color or smearing the various materials that I use. So I'm not a purist by any means. Let's see. I was thinking about adding a little color on this. Any more questions or?
Was that your preferred underglaze? Is that the velvet underglaze?
This is Amico.
Amico?
That is velvet underglaze.
Yeah.
Right, you're right. Well, I don't know what we can get at Seattle Pottery Supply now these days.
Anymore.
It's kind of like a whole new deal. So we're trying, I didn't know about the slip that I ended up buying to cast these. It's pretty good. The mold wasn't too good, but it got there. Oops. Touch that up. Bungie has something to say. It's too quiet, isn't it?
It's pretty quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, where's the-
Everyone's intently watching.
Yeah, sometimes I just keep going with layers upon layers because they're not functional. So I'll never be able to get my foot in this shoe. That is my foot. I can't believe, oh, it's so dainty.
That's not the broken one, right?
Yeah, this is, yeah, the broken one was in the boot. And boy, how annoying. Who knew?
You used to put your foot in a plaster mold or in a thing of plaster and let it get soft, hardened. How do you do a foot mold?
Well, I wanted to show this.
Good question.
Take this is very sloppy, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to open this up successfully. It might just split open because it's early. But it's a 3-part mold. So the bottom comes out. I'm not sure.
So you do it like a cup.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've never done it before, but I decided to, it was, oh no, it's a 4-part mold.
Ah,
Yeah, it's a 4-part mold.
okay. That's a nice shot of your back.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this, here I thought, oh, I'll do it in advance and then I'll just show opening it up. But it's,
Oh, it's like an oyster.
yeah, it is. It'll be as tasty as an oyster too.
Okay. Liza was born in Hollywood, but she doesn't have the camera stuff down.
No, so sorry. I'm too avant-garde for Hollywood.
Oh, you made it. There you go.
It's a little thin. Let's see, there we go. There's the bottom. Let's see if I can get this.
How long did it take you to make that mold?
I believe I did it in one day. It was awkward.
Yeah.
I think Larry had to help me a bit for a change. There's another part.
Well, it's good to have a Larry.
Oh, it sure is. Of course, he has Eliza too.
Yeah.
It's not always one way. We've helped him get, the whole family helped get through Bellevue and other shows, the fairs. So there's so this gets cut away, cleaned up. I kind of lost the details on the nails, so I detailed that a bit and shaved. So does that kind of help show that process?
Well, I think if you explain how you got the plaster on your foot
Oh
and
my.
how you made your separations, that would be helpful.
That's what I was hoping for too.
Yeah.
Put your
Good
foot in a bucket
point.
of plaster and then carve it off, or
No, I
bucket of
didn't.
glue?
I didn't do it that way. Yeah, no, I think I stepped into some clay and let it sink in a bit. And I shaped it after I pulled my foot out. And then I I built some clay walls around my foot,
Mhm.
but I'm not remembering every aspect. It was just sort of a crazy, let's see what I can do with this, but I can see that that was smoothed. So I must have built some clay walls, and
Okay.
too bad, I
Yeah.
should have made a video of it. That would have been entertaining, wouldn't it?
So your form is actually clay, just bisque fired or something?
No, this is plaster.
Okay.
Yeah. So just like the dentist uses.
Okay.
And then this is clay slip that I
Mhm.
bought Seattle Pottery and poured it in. What do you want me to get back there?
Okay, good try to get back.
Okay. So sorry. Julia Childs didn't show me how to do it right. Demonstrating. Okay. Any other questions? Should I just continue on with my experiments here?
Yeah, go ahead. Does anyone have any questions for Liza? No,
Quiet.
it's a quiet crowd this evening.
Mhm.
So little shells that I picked up on the beach. And they were kind of slapdash, but I got enough to do the job. And I wanted to add the snake in reference to Bernard Palissy with his snakes. There are a lot of sea creatures there in that inlet in southern France. And I'm not sure I'd want one wrapped around, but I thought it would make it an interesting concept for shoe wear. I'm gonna add some more.
The canoe forms that you've been making, like the one you're working on now. I've looked at the slides on your website or the images on your website, and looking at the ones on the wall there.
Mhm.
It looks like there's some marbling, really interesting patterning going on, that it doesn't look like you just took a brush and painted it.
No, well, this has adzing, so that adds kind of this complex texture, like water with raindrops on it.
Yeah.
What was that called? Edging?
I'm sorry,
How did you get it to do that? But you had a word for it.
I used a
Yeah.
finer,
The pattern.
the pattern. Oh, yeah. So I make it in order to standardize these larger pieces. I make a pattern that I lay on it.
Okay.
And that's how, otherwise I would just totally, Larry's got a natural Nordic ability to keep patterns. So it could go that way or go across. So it all comes from thinking about us in the waters around the San Juan Islands, and how constant, they never goes away, the water.
So how then do you transfer that image to the clay?
We score it, right?
Pardon me?
Score it, right?
Actually wrap it around it. And then I don't want to cut through the plastic. Eventually you do, but use it for a while. I'm not doing a very careful job. And this is a great tool here, the little knob at the end.
Okay.
Do you fire it on? Is it a,
No, I just pull the plastic off after I've got the form and then kind of go over it and maybe do variations from there.
And how do you get your image on the plastic?
I trace it over and over and over till, you know, wear it out. Oops.
So that's not printed?
No, no, it's
Oh.
felt pen. Just felt pen on plastic. Otherwise, I don't know where it would cost me a fortune.
so you draw on the plastic and then sort of transfer it?
Yep, and then I just use this ball tool so I don't rip through it.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, that side's carved, but that I do sometimes do. As in
Oh.
this, do this over the adzed or notched
Okay.
lay.
And so the texture creates that marbled look.
Right.
And then you have your magic pencil, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, well, I don't have those magic pencils anymore.
You just bought some.
Oh, yeah, I did get some. Yeah, so there are some pencils, I think they're in the house, that I came across, and they're called ink pen pencils. And what's the supplier?
It's not bad.
Pardon me? Oh yeah, well, I'm sorry, I don't have one here with me, but I was able to buy it in the U District. I was Artisan Craftsman Supply. I was told that they weren't making them anymore, and I was like, oh, no. Because it's this beautiful pencil to work with, and you spray a little water on it, it just goes like a little soft watercolor. So I was thrilled that I could find it again. So there must have been a demand, and they went back to work. I think they're American made. A lot of those really interesting, unique things come from Europe.
So do you use that on paper?
I use it on paper, but I also use it here, and you can just spray it a little bit, just softens it a little bit. And then I cover it with archival wax.
Mm.
Dorland's archival wax. You familiar with that at all? Anybody?
I'm not.
So it's really nice for just terracotta too, if you want to, you know, like the heads. Or a vessel, here's one that's carved, and just rub it on and it will protect it. It's kind of not for cooking, it's just for non-functional.
To give it sort of a satin finish.
Yeah, it just seals it and gives it a satin, protects the layer of color, or, you know, keeps it from staining from, I don't know, if you spill a cup of coffee, it might seep in, but. See if I can find a handy rag.
No, it's terracotta, so when it's bisqued, it's fired to its maturity.
So just, oh dear, that's the wrong, don't do this, don't what I just do. Go ahead. See if that takes it off. You have a white rag. Here's a white towel. And you can take thinner to it, but I don't know if you ever get it completely off.
So how are we supposed to do it? You said that was the way not to do it.
Don't use a black
Oh, okay, gotcha.
t-shirt rag. Go white.
Oh, okay,
Don't want to get that black lint on there.
that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. There. I'll take a peek at that mold, see if there it is. So with this, I don't know if you've made molds of things, but I'll just take an X-Acto and trim that away. And then smooth it. Or this is a wonderful tool. And it's really kind of a perfect time, as long as I don't sneeze and drop it, to finish it off. So anybody have any more questions?
Do you have any tricks for eliminating that that fettling knot line? Sometimes, you can sponge it and sand it and everything else, but when you glaze it, it tends to show up.
Oh. That's interesting. Gosh. I don't know if
You haven't experienced that, huh?
yeah, not, well, you're doing more functional wear and I'm doing, crazy things out of my head, so.
Uh,
People have higher expectations of things that look like classically beautiful pieces like your work. And yours are always perfection, I must say.
Geez.
They
Well,
are.
listen, we are running up to the end of the program here. I just hope, is there anyone else with a question that they're dying to ask but afraid to? Well, come on ahead and
Don't be
step
afraid.
forward.
I taught for many years, so I should be able to take it.
Liza, hi, this is Reed Ozaki.
Oh,
Can
Reed,
you,
I saw your name.
yeah, can you flip that that bisque canoe form around so we can see the part that you waxed?
Oh. I,
So it doesn't change the color apparently.
well, it makes it a little richer. See the inside,
Uh-huh.
makes it just a little bit richer. And then I do burnish it, and I put a couple layers on.
Uh-huh. So I
And-
have a surface that picks up, it's a matte surface that picks up fingerprints, and
Oh,
I was wondering if that would be something that would be.
yeah. Well, but it's a
I-
non-functional object, right?
Well, they're primarily they're vases. And when just picking them up, the oils from your hand leave fingerprints, and
Yeah.
I you know sitting in the gallery, they look terrible after a while, after, people have been handling them. And I'm
Hmm,
wondering if the oil, I mean, this wouldn't be for, um, uh, anything for food, but
yeah,
just
yeah, it's not.
as a decorative object.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess
Worth a try.
it's definitely worth a try, and you can get smaller quantities than
yeah,
one's wax.
yeah. Okay,
Um,
well, that's useful for me. I
Yeah,
think I'll give it a try.
Good,
Yeah,
yeah, it's been a
cool.
long time. This whole COVID thing is
Oh gosh, really? Yeah,
crazy,
yeah. Well,
crazy world.
thank you for doing this.
Oh, well, I feel honored that I was invited to meet with y'all.
Yeah,
And, I kind of do miss teaching a little bit, but not the driving up and down the freeway and at night and on and on. So yeah, no, this is kind of fun.
yeah,
Yeah, workshop will be fun too. Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you, Reed.
Thank you, Reed.
Yeah,
And thank you everyone else that joined us this evening. Just want to say that Liza, thank you so much for this awesome presentation. We're
It was
very pleased to have
a
had you
real honor.
this evening. And what did I say? Well, this coming summer, I have one guest artist, and um, that'll be Brian O'Neill. So we get a chance to see his work and see what he does. Again, thank you. And I guess we're going to sign off now.
Thank you, Ken, for your patience. Appreciate
Uh,
it.
Thanks, guys.
And it was really nice meeting you all. You have a wonderful instructor.
Yes, we do.